You're watching Taboo Tea with Katie, a space created to encourage honest exploration of topics we often avoid, whether with ourselves, our family, or within our community. This space isn't a replacement for therapy, but it is a tool for learning, reflection, and growth. My prayer is that you'll walk away with a clearer understanding of yourself, feel seen and supported, and leave with practical strategies to help you navigate whatever season you're in. Hey everyone! Thank you for coming to today's episode of Taboo Tea. I hope you got your tea ready or something stronger, possibly, because this particular topic can be a little challenging for folks. We're talking about pride. And so, as we start this conversation, I want you to think about what comes to mind when you think of pride. Do you think of someone who just walks around with their head held high, chest out, maybe acting like they're better than everyone else? Or do we think of that thing that keeps us from asking for help? Pride is more than just bragging. It's a voice that says, I got this, or I don't need anybody. It's that mask that looks strong, but is really just scared. It looks like the perfectionist, the strong friend, the nothing can hurt me. Pride might dress up like confidence, but it's really just the fear of being seen as weak, of being disappointed again, or a fear of being seen as unworthy. And the longer we allow this pride to run the show, the more we reinforce these negative mindsets that often rob us of connection, healing, and peace. So today, we're spilling the tea on pride, not to shame you, but to free you, because you don't need another mask. You just need room to breathe. Now, pride can sound humble, look responsible, and even feel protective, but it's often just fear dressed up as strength. Sometimes it can be seen in the refusal to ask for help, or the comparison that keeps you competing, or in the silence that keeps you disconnected. Sometimes it's quiet and hides in phrases like, I'm fine, or I got this, when what you really mean is, I don't trust anyone else to do it for me. Most of us weren't taught that this was a form of pride. Instead, we were taught that to survive, we needed to be strong, to push through, and to figure it out on our own. And for a while, honestly, that works. It keeps us safe or it makes sure that things get done. But what started as protection slowly turned into a personality. And this hyper independence became a key part of our identity. The control became comfortable. And before we knew it, this pride slipped in quietly, not as arrogance, but as self reliance. It whispered to us, if you don't depend on anyone, you can't get hurt. Or if you stay perfect, then no one will reject you. If you never admit you're wrong, you'll stay in control. So, with all of these, where did you land? Are you the strong friend who carries everybody else, but never lets anyone in because vulnerability feels unsafe? Are you the perfectionist who stays busy and put together? Are you the independent one who says, I don't need anybody? Are you the silent type who won't apologize? Or are you the comparer who only feels secure when they feel like they're doing better than someone else? Each of these is just pride in disguise. Different masks, same root. And that root is fear. Fear of being seen, fear of needing, fear of being known. But the gag is, like Kiki says, pride leads to isolation, not protection. So again, I ask, where did you land? Because once you can name the mask, you can trace it back to where the wound was that made you wear it. That real work can start because you'll understand the pain beneath it. So let's pour just a little bit deeper. Pride doesn't grow in confidence. Like we said before, it grows in fear. It becomes a shield that we build when we've been let down one too many times and says, if I stay in control, I can't get hurt. Or if I don't need anyone, I won't be disappointed. But that shield becomes a prison over time, which, yeah, it keeps out rejection, but it also keeps out love, connection, and grace. You see, pride convinces us that isolation is the safer route, but God designed us for community. So you were never meant to do any of this alone. Sometimes this pride is just unhealed hurt, found in the ways that we grew up. Maybe you grew up in a home where asking for help was met with judgment. Or maybe you learned that showing weakness meant that you would be overlooked or taken advantage of. Maybe you've had to be the strong friend for so long that you forgot what it felt like to be held. Where pride tells us to perform for love, grace tells us we already have it. And where pride says, earn it, grace says, receive it. Scripture reminds us of this, particularly in 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9. It says, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Think about that for a second. God's power doesn't show up when we're pretending to have it all together. It shows up in the cracks, in the breakdowns, in those I can't do this anymore moments. So if you've been wearing strength like armor, then this can be your formal invitation to rest, softness, and the permission to ask for and accept help. Pride might tell you it's weakness, but heaven calls it surrender. Now, for me personally, this looks like I'll handle it. You see, I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I can honestly sip to that. And so many times I don't trust other people to help me because I don't want them to mess it up, especially when it comes to my vision. And I don't want to give anyone the opportunity to disappoint me. I grew up watching the strong women in my life do things without help. So naturally, I thought that to be strong meant to do the same. And anytime I asked for help and was met with disappointment, I would just tell myself, see, this is why you can't depend on people anyway. Even now, there are times where I put on, I got it, like a badge of honor. People can count on me, but I don't always trust others enough to count on them. But all that independence isn't strength, and it comes at a cost. It can be exhausting, physically and emotionally, and leave you spiritually disconnected because it will keep you performing when God has already called you to rest. You'll be saying, I'm good, but your soul will be screaming, help me. I had to learn that letting people in doesn't make me weak. It makes me human, just like everybody else. And letting God in doesn't make me less capable. It makes me complete. Now, if you're listening to this and it hits a little too close for home, you're not alone. So many of us have learned that vulnerability equals danger, and then asking for help equals failure. But healing begins when we stop pretending that we're fine, because you can't heal what you keep hiding. And sometimes humility isn't about bowing low, it's about opening up. So now that we've tossed out all this theory, how do we shift from self reliance to surrender when pride's been running the show the whole time? Well, first of all, we start by recognizing that surrender doesn't mean doing less, it means trusting more. When you start trusting more, you realize you don't have anything to prove in the first place because your worth was already settled. God's not looking for perfection, He's after surrender. And so every time we try to handle things ourselves, what we're really saying is, I trust me more than I trust God. But the moment we pause and say, Lord, I need you, that's when things can shift. We stop performing for approval and start trusting his presence is enough. And at that point, peace follows. So let's talk about some ways that we can actually live this out without falling back into old patterns. Pride moves fast, but humility takes a beat. So give yourself a second to breathe and ask, what's really going on here? Check in with yourself. Ask for help. Yes, it can be uncomfortable, But leaning on God and letting people in doesn't make you weak. Again, it makes you human, just like everybody else. Apologize without defending yourself. I'm not gonna lie, that's a hard one for me too. But you don't always need to explain why you were wrong. Saying I apologize can simply be enough to open the door to healing much faster than any defense you could give ever could. Stop measuring yourself against everyone else. Swap that comparison for celebration and cheer them on or pray for them instead. This reminds you that growth and blessing aren't limited to just yourself or to others. And pray for a teachable spirit, not a spirit that feels less than, but one that is open to being shaped, corrected, and guided. Listen, pride isn't going to disappear overnight, but this awareness is the first step to freedom. So this week, we're just going to notice our masks. We're going to catch ourselves in those pride moments, the I got this moments, the perfectionism and the comparison, and the silence. And we're just going to notice it. And then we're going to pray for surrender daily. We're going to say it out loud if we have to. Lord, I need you to take the wheel. Even small moments of letting go are wins. We're going to replace that performance with presence. We're going to show up for ourselves and show up for others, not to be seen, but to serve and to love. And then we're going to release the need to be perfect, to always be right, or to carry it all alone. Grace isn't reserved for just meals. It's for every moment that we remember to hand the crown back to God. Remember, letting go of pride doesn't make you less. It makes room for everything that God has for you: connection, peace, purpose, and freedom. You don't have to do this perfectly. You just have to start. And if you want to go a little bit deeper, you can use this journal prompt to reflect and challenge yourself this week. Check in with yourself and ask, where is pride showing up in your life? Are you performing, protecting, or proving? How would your choices look if you replace this pride with trust in God? And then pick one area where pride usually drives your decisions, whether that's work, relationships, family, or even in your self talk. For me, it's the self talk. And this week, intentionally step back and practice surrender in that space. Ask for help, admit a mistake, or let someone support you without feeling like you have to control the outcome. Heavy on that last one. And then journal about that experience. Notice what changes in your heart, your interactions, and your connection with God. Again, this isn't about perfection. It's just about noticing and making intentional choices and letting God take the lead. Even one small moment of surrender is victory. So I want to thank you for watching today. And if you have any questions or you want to chat more, please use the link in the show description to get in touch with your girl. You can leave a comment here if there are topics you want to see discussed. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes of Taboo Tea. Till next time.